I could force Steve to
Okay, good evening and welcome to the February 26th, 2026 City and School Liaison Committee. If the clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Liu,
Here.
and sorry, excuse me, I meant to say board member. Board member Liu, board member Stone,
Here.
board member Cammy. Here, board member Siegel. Here, for the record, all present.
Thank you. All right, so our very first item of business is selection of a chairperson. And since in 2025, I have the pleasure of representing the city as chair this year. That honor goes to the school district, so the chairperson will be somebody from the school district. I guess before we move into that, are there any public comment on selection of a chairperson?
There are no requests to speak and no hands are raised in Zoom.
Thank you. Then do we have a nomination?
I nominate trustee Cam High.
Wonderful. Do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Great. Would you like to speak to your nomination?
I'm good.
Would you like to speak in acceptance of your nomination? I'm really trying to lengthen this out while I still have power.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you all this year.
Any discussion? Okay, then let's call the vote.
Board member Siegel,
Aye.
board member Stone,
Yes.
board member Cammy,
Aye.
board member Liu.
Yes.
Motion carries for board member Cammy to be chair of the city schools liaison committee for 2026.
Congratulations. Here's the gavel. All right, it's your meeting.
And then I take it over, okay? The fun starts now. Okay, so then next we move to open forum. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do have one request to speak.
Great. If we could move to that person then? Are they on Zoom or in person?
They're on Zoom, one moment.
Okay. Yeah, just.
Our first speaker is Ken H.
Good evening. This is Ken Horowitz, and I'm really excited now that it's the school board and the city are cooperating regarding the track watch. At the recent city council meeting, the city approved a 50% contribution, and now I'm hopeful that the school district will do as well. And as we move forward regarding youth mental health, you may have heard Dr. Casey Means. Yesterday, she gave testimony because she's in line to become our next Surgeon General. And she talked quite a bit about youth mental health and how it's a priority for not only in our district, but as well as in the United States. And she referred to an individual that I've mentioned his name at both city council and the school board meeting, Richard Height, who wrote a book called Anxious Generation. And his focus on the book was regarding social media. So I'm hopeful that the liaison committee will take up this subject as well, because I think this is a contributing factor regarding youth mental health. You may know that the county is going to support Alcove. That's a good sign, and we need to appreciate council members Burt and Lidcott Haynes, because they went down to the meeting. They only had a minute to speak, but they were in support of the city continuing in support of Alcove. And lastly, there's nothing on your agenda. Your agenda is pretty much empty of any attachments. But I'm hopeful that there's a discussion from the JED Foundation as to their work, since they have been contracted with the city, and I'm not sure what their activities are with the school district, but hopefully maybe tonight we can hear more about the JED Foundation work. And Councilmember Lidcott Haynes talked about trying to put all the different programs we have on youth mental health into one topic. So hopefully this liaison committee will be proactive instead of sharing stories about what's normally in the news, but be proactive regarding youth mental health. And thank you for your time, and have a great meeting.
And that concludes public comment on items not on the agenda.
Thank you. Moving right along, our next order of business is a review of the minutes from last time. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Great. Any discussion? Great. I'll call a vote to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, I guess.
Excellent. Next up, we have city and school district reports. I will start with the city.
For the council members, do you want to start? Okay, I'll just give one smaller update, and if other ones come up, I can reference that while after the council members provide an update. So the one that I think is very relevant, this committee will be discussing things on youth mental health, which is obviously a topic that has been a discussion for this committee before. One of the items this evening on post-vention engagement is related to that topic. One area that I know is of interest to this committee relates to the grade separations, particularly at Churchill. So I wanted to provide just a small piece of information on that, because that will not be a discussion of this committee, because we have other committees of the city that have that focus area, and we can't really assign it to multiple committees. So we are organizing a listening session where we can get feedback from the community regarding potential closure at Churchill and just around the Churchill rail crossing. That will be at 6 p.m. on March 12th at the PAUSD boardroom. And so just wanted to share that for the public, as well as this committee, that is a meeting that is upcoming, and it's an opportunity for people to share input related to Churchill. And that's it for me.
Okay, bye.
Yep.
Are you able to maybe share just process or timeline that the city is anticipating for potential Churchill closure?
So I have to check the notes on that one, so I can pull that back up, but I know that the city council discussion will be a little later, so this is just a first step of hearing community feedback. And that's on what could happen at the Churchill crossing. I don't want to presuppose a conclusion.
Mention the academy. Yeah, nothing else. Do you want to mention, or well, you go? Okay. So, sorry, Chair.
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I'll just then add in addition on Churchill with again, not kind of going into too much of a discussion, but I think as far as what was updated on Monday by Councilmember Lidcott Haynes, who chairs the Rail Safety Committee, so it's public record that I think we're hoping to be able to make a decision sometime in the spring. I think we're looking for an April timeline on when that item can come back to council for a decision. But glad to see we're going to have a lot of community engagement, because there's definitely a lot of impacts that decision might have, and hopefully two. I'm sure the school district will be engaged in all that as we kind of navigate safe routes to school and other impacts associated with a decision if the council makes it. And then, and I've got a lot more on post-pension engagement, so I'll leave other comments until then. And then a positive update is today, I know Councilmember Lou and I were both at the groundbreaking ceremony for the academy, opening up on, well, it's just breaking ground on El Camino. And that's going to be 100% affordable housing project with no government subsidies associated with it, but 100% affordable and going to be offered to PAUSD teachers and classified staff before it opens up to kind of general members of the public. And I know that's something I think the developer said that they're hoping for people being able to move in by what, July or August of 2027. So just in time for that new school year. And as far as kind of the affordability goes, it looks like it would really is just going to be for maybe teachers just starting out in the profession in their first year of teaching or two. But that would be a great opportunity to, I guess, for the district to be able to advertise that opportunity for new teachers being hired, because I know they're really hoping to fill it with local teachers. But so that's a really exciting project, and yeah, we're excited to support it as it continues in its construction. So that's my update.
Thanks so much. So moving on to the school.
Most of my comments tie to the post-pension engagement, so I can talk here about what, but I feel like my report is actually about post-pension engagement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Conway, do you have a report to give, or I can also,
No,
I came with it. Okay, great. So I can give our update from the school side of things. So on our side, I wanted to make sure folks were aware that the superintendent and board agreed to mutually separate on Friday, February 20th. And then on Monday, February 23rd, the board nominated Trent Barasingh as our acting superintendent. And we are in the process right now of soliciting bids from search firms for a new superintendent search. Giving an update on the district side of what was already mentioned by the city. At the last board meeting, Dr. Austin expressed the district's wishes for Churchill to close temporarily given the recent tragic losses, and mentioned the potential cost sharing of security guards with the city. And both were supported by a majority of the board at the last board meeting, although it was not agendized, and so there was no official vote. But my understanding from the fiscal advisory committee is that cost sharing conversations are already underway between the city and school, and that the security guards began on Monday. So that is our report.
Yes, I should have referenced that in our update as well. The city council approved that contract on Monday, and so the guards are out on the streets.
Thank you. Any other reports from this side before we move on? Okay. Next up is post-pension engagement. And Councilmember Stone, do you want to frame this up, or do you want me to?
Whatever you're most comfortable with. So whatever your preferences.
I'm happy to start and then feel free to chime in. So one thing that has been on this committee's part of, our focus for the last year has been on youth mental health. And we have had the privilege of having Jed come to talk to us a couple of different times, and are in the position now where we are looking at post-pension because of a tragic loss. And so wanted to discuss post-pension engagement. So if there's anything else you wanted to add to frame it up.
No, I think you framed that well. This is a continuation of the work that the committee took on last year, and really appreciate all the members and staff really rolling up our sleeves and taking that work seriously and doing everything that we can as two shared agencies. And as the chair mentioned, for to have been reminded of how real and how critical this work is. I don't think there's anything more important than for the city and the school district to be doing, and especially to be doing together. So really appreciate all of you in this work. And I know the city's got quite a bit to share. I'm excited to hear the JED update as well. I know the district has been continuing to lead on this issue as well. So thank you, Chair.
Great, thank you. So I'm gonna see, I guess next we see if we have any public comment.
Maybe I guess typically we'll do like staff, any update
Okay,
from
so we'll
staff.
do an update from staff and then, thank you.
Sure. I can start, and I know Ms. Conaway also has information on district efforts. For the city, we have the contract with the JED Foundation, so I'll speak to that piece of the work. We have been working very closely with them, and they have also been engaged with our response efforts since the recent tragedy here at the city. And so we're grateful to have them working with us in that regard. So I just wanted to provide sort of an overview. They are helping us as we need right now. It's really just sort of, we called them with the being in there responding. And so that is helpful for the ad hoc committee. It's been very useful. But in terms of their strategic work, just a reminder for the scope of work that they're working with the city on is really helping us look at our comprehensive offering of resources citywide and what our efforts are in prevention and postvention and helping identify any gaps as well as being able to offer some best practices. So that's sort of a high level summary of the work they're doing. They will be here again in Palo Alto in a couple of weeks. On March 18th and 19th, and we're organizing a few workshops with them because in the contract they have also offered to do workshops with us as we need them to. And so the topics that we're really focusing on, it's called You Can Help. They are workshops that are really helping youth know the different ways that they can be helpful to one another, as well as parents and families, and knowing ways that we can also sort of recognize things and help individuals in our community. And those particular times are, sorry, there's a lot of information here. 6 p.m. on March 18th is a tentative date and time, as well as 5:15 p.m. on March 19th. They will be doing some youth listening sessions while they're here, both for individuals under the age of 17, as well as those over 18 and over. That is part of the information gathering phase. The last visit they were here, they were doing a lot of stakeholder engagement interviews and meetings, and they're going to continue that when they're here, and they've been doing them virtually online as well. It's really important for them to have the baseline of all the efforts that we have going on in Palo Alto so that they can make sure the information they're providing us is very specific to our community needs. So the youth listening sessions are a really important piece of gathering that information so they're hearing directly from the youth some of the things that they're observing in their day-to-day lives. And we are considering while they're here offering some sort of community processing group, realizing that there's just a lot of weight that comes with any of these particular situations. And so we're trying to organize that to make another space where people in the community can convene together. And so those are the upcoming specific events, but the timing is working with JED. They will be working towards a report that they can bring related to their comprehensive findings around June this year. And so, as I referenced, there's a gap analysis. They're really trying to see what we have in our community and sort of report back of what they're seeing. That should be around June, with the expectation that they can have a postvention guide later in the year that they can provide to the city. And so Ms. O'Kane is also here in case I left anything out, but that's sort of the bigger picture. I think it would be great to have JED come back to this committee at one of your upcoming meetings and they can provide sort of a status update on where they are, but we just wanted to let you know high level where they're at now and what's to come.
So I just have a quick question. One question was, so the topics that You Can Help workshops is to help youth know how to help. Like, can you just be a little bit more specific about that, how to help others or?
Yes.
Okay.
Description.
And then while she's getting this, if we're sharing out about this at a board meeting, for example, can we also share how, if there's youth interested, how can they reach out to
For the listening session?
For the listening session, that was my second question. Or maybe that's part
Well,
of
we're
it.
part of the coordination.
Okay, so that will be shared to students. Cool.
Yes.
Okay, then that answered my question. And you said, provide a post-vention guide later in the year, is that, I'm assuming
Yes,
later?
so their
Okay.
findings report is the initial report that.
And that's
we'll
in
get-
June.
And that's in June, that we'll get from them, and that's sort of their comprehensive analysis of all the stakeholder engagement, et cetera. And then the next one is sort of with that information and the additional feedback on it, what are the specific recommendations that they have for Palo Alto?
Okay, and that comes later in the year.
Yes, and we can share with the committee the calendar invitations for those two workshops, which will have a description, and this,
Okay.
Kane and I are trying, our internet's not working
Oh,
for some reason.
mine's not either. Yeah, so that's.
That
why I
makes me
couldn't
feel
look it
so
up.
much better.
No, yeah, mine's not either.
I've been clicking and nothing is
Yeah.
happening. So we will get the description
Okay,
whenever the
perfect.
internet allows,
Yeah.
but it is on the city calendar and we'll share those
Okay.
links with you. And also we'll find out the exact email address that individuals can sign up for the
Okay.
listening sessions. It's really important that we get a wide variety of youth
Mhm.
to participate, not
Right.
just those that are really invested in the youth mental health topic, or what I call individuals like myself who are really involved in a lot of different
Mhm.
activities, but just that we have the wide span of youth participating, because that's what's really going to help us understand the wide variety of how this topic impacts the youth in our city.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's fine. That was all the information I needed. Yeah.
Try.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Thanks for the update on the post-vention guide. I mean, that's really I think you mentioned this, but that's really the kind of host of policy recommendations that they will present to the council or to the city for consideration and potential adoption. It's not like a resource that's generally available for kind of like the public on mental health. Is really for us to be able to determine what else that we can be doing in this space.
I can try to answer that. I'm Kristen O'Kane, Community Services Director, and there's some examples that I'm happy to share that Jed has shared with us. The ones that they've have are from colleges or schools, but it's really a guide on what we do next and what our partners do, and as a community, what we do after there's a tragedy. So it would be a public document and something everyone could see, but people would have, their specific role in the post-vention.
So it sounds like it would touch on district response as well. Is that right, from the schools?
I don't think we talked about that, but
Okay.
certainly.
I can probably-
Okay, great, cool. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll start with Jed, just because that's kind of where we ended, but I'm gonna circle back with trying to give everyone an idea of how we approach this post-vention work as a whole. We have an agreement with Jed right now, an MOU that allows them to provide some really targeted training and support both for parents and for students. Our next one coming up is called "It Is Okay to Say Suicide," because what we have been hearing from students is that there's this hush hush about the word itself. People are uncomfortable when the word comes up. So we thought this was a valuable, out of all the sessions that they offered, this was a valuable one so that students could feel like it is okay to come into a space and ask questions about suicide without, people looking shocked or feeling uncomfortable when they're having the conversation. So that training is coming up. I don't have the exact date yet, but I can certainly kind of circle back and share that with the city as well. Jed has also asked us to open up some of our training so that it's a broader community event. And what I have shared, with the organization is that I think there are opportunities for that, but when we're still in this post-vention phase, and it's important to keep, the school community at the forefront so that there's more room and space for those voices, but also make sure that we have opportunities to engage the entire community, on this as well. But we wanted to really stay focused on, the students and making sure they had space to have their voices heard, and to have the parents' voices heard in terms of how the how the school can support them. I want to circle back. One more thing about JED. We are actually engaging them as well on our policy development. We have a committee right now that's looking at that policy. JED is going to be taking the foundational policy that we have existing right now and trying to identify what they perceive to be gaps in that policy, so that when we go with our first draft, we have some input from some professionals in the field so that we can ensure that we are not forgetting anything. It is also important to know that the state puts out that policy. The CSBA puts out a policy, and that's, all districts are guided by the CSBA guidelines. So what we're wanting to do is to identify areas where we can go above and beyond what the base requirement is to make sure that our response is meeting the needs of our community. So it is likely that our current policy is already well beyond the CSBA language. But what we're hoping to do is to listen to the voices of our students and of our community to make sure that we are meeting the needs as they come to us, and being really thoughtful about curating a policy that that makes people feel like we're doing the right thing. Right now, we feel like we have a strong policy, and as you probably know, we do get some criticism about that policy merely because there's a lack of understanding and communication about postvention science sometimes, and sometimes it's a lack of communication, where we can do a better job of communicating all of those things that we are doing, so that we can dispel some of the myths that the school is only reacting when a tragedy happens. There's a long list of things that we do long before tragedy happens, systems that we put in place. And they start with what I call the postvention phases, but it starts with prevention, intervention, and crisis management in the moment, and then obviously the postvention part of that. And we have a window of time where our first 24 hours are really about stabilization, making sure that there's, all of our students are safe, and that we're really being intentional about coordinated communications, which is what we tend to get the most feedback about. Not enough communication or not specific enough. So we will be looking at that first 24 hours very closely with JED to make sure that in those first 24 hours, we are doing all of the things that we should be doing. We are following the science around this work, the research around this work, but I always believe that there's an opportunity to do better when you have a large number of the community saying it's not enough. So it's important for us to take another look to make sure we can close any gaps that may be existing. The next phase of that is our our targeted outreach and monitoring phase, which is around days 2 through 5. Don't quote me on the days because I'm one day off and people will say, no, you did it on the third day, not the second day. But just generally, the targeted outreach is about really understanding what students may be in crisis or what students may be having a particularly emotional response to a tragedy in our community, whether it's suicide or whether it's anything else, right? So much of that work is on monitoring students. So while sometimes we're getting this push to do a lot of things, our staff is really paying a lot of attention to the kids in our space in the moment and making sure that teachers know how to recognize when a student may be in crisis and needs some support. There's some instructions given to teachers about what to say and how to talk to kids about suicide so that students don't feel like they have something to say, but they're not allowed to do that. And then there's this kind of further down the road, I say weeks 1 through 4, where we're really focused on transitioning from this crisis phase to recovery. And that is where you will see a lot of the trainings coming up. There are so many, I can't even begin to name them all for you. We've already had, quite a few parent ed night events. We have had student listening sessions so that we can collect data on, how students are feeling. And boy, are we learning a lot from our kids the most, because they're living it every day. And some of the things that they are thinking about as potential triggers or issues may not be things that we have codified in policy or codified in anything that's structural. But we do have to address those things as they come on. So we've heard things about addressing bullying, providing more supports for our LGBTQ youth, and spaces for our LGBTQ youth to, to have conversations. And then also, we have just recently did a training called PRISM, to support our LGBTQ youth. So every single one of our sites trained 2 to 3 people to be facilitators to train the entire staff. So our entire staff, all certificated staff, will be trained in how to support LGBTQ youth, and how to recognize signs of need, and how to curate spaces and climates where our students can thrive, no matter what identity that they're aspiring to. So there's work around that, and we also heard from students that they wanted to be part of the solution. They wanted to be part of not just creating a positive school climate, but also being active in the postvention phase. Students like to talk to students, peer on peer type of support. So we have been hearing a lot. You may have heard about Bring Change to Mind. It's a national organization. It is focused on students being part of the solution. We already have a club at Pally that engages students around kind of suicide prevention and suicide discussions. But we just met with the organization just last week to talk about how we can, if we should, and how we can potentially expand Bring Change to Mind to all of our secondary sites so that students have this space to come and really talk about changes and shifts that are needed in the environment, and a space where they can talk about suicide without feeling like they're making everyone uncomfortable. And also, as you know, here's, someone mentioned earlier about the impact of social media on, kind of the way students present and the way they feel about themselves. I think our cell phone policy is one of those preventative measures that we have identified that's when students are in the school space, they are not worried about the drama of social media because they don't have access to their phones. So I think that's one of the stronger preventative measures that we've been able to implement over time. But there's also this piece that we learned just from our last tragedy, which is we have to attend to anniversary planning, right? When that time comes around, whether it's a year or 6 months, and when students start to think about the loss of their friends, how are we circling back on during those anniversary periods to really be aware, first of all, and making sure that those are not triggers for students who may be in vulnerable times, but making sure that we're able to identify who needs support and provide that support. I could go on and on about all the things that we are doing, but I will say that our partnership with JED has already been very fruitful. And I also recently had a conversation in a meeting with Ms. O'Kane and Dr. Joshi about ways in which we can better partner, meeting on a consistent basis, not when a tragedy happens, but consistently, so that we can talk about the work that we're doing, so that work is aligned, and we can really talk about how do we improve our efforts and strengthen our efforts in this area, so that we can prevent as many tragedies as we can, but also to learn from any gaps and missteps that may occur along the way. We can talk those through with folks that have a lens on mental health and mental health awareness. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Thank you. I haven't typed that fast in a very long time. No, that was really helpful because based on what other committees you're on, I might not be getting this information, for a while. So thank you. As I was taking notes, just a question that came up is is part of the work that we're doing, and I know it is, but I just know you could talk about it in terms of teachers at different sites. And, from being a teacher myself, is there clear communication, or is one of our goals clear communication sent to high school teachers so they know what they can say or what they shouldn't say, can or can't? Because I I can imagine that's a concern at this. point.
Absolutely. As you know, when a tragedy happens, our teachers are in this really emotional
Yes.
space too. So it's really hard. Some of them find it very difficult to actually talk about
Mhm.
something that could be triggering for them. But they are provided
Mhm.
with talking points for students. I've heard, with some of the feedback that, it's, we're not allowed to talk about it or teachers shut us down. I truly believe that is a particular teacher who may
Okay.
be uncomfortable,
Mhm.
not that they have not been provided with the resources to,
Mhm.
respond to a student's questions related to this, but just may not have the emotional kind of wherewithal in that moment to do a really great job of that. Most of our teachers do, though. I mean, they're unfortunately becoming accustomed to the scripts that they are provided with the talking points that they're provided, but we can always do more and making sure that our teachers are comfortable talking about suicide, that they're comfortable in recognizing signs.
Mhm.
So we do have trainings at the beginning of the year. What we're working on right now is how to strengthen that training a little bit. We use, online modules in some cases. So now what we're talking about is how do we make sure that every teacher has access to a high quality training program to both build awareness and to strengthen response.
Thank you. And I was just going to add that on February 18th, I attended one of the Jed Foundation parent trainings. It was guidance on coping with suicide loss and ways to support your teen. And I just thought it was really helpful and useful. What I don't know, so then my follow-up question is, I was on it live. If I had missed it, are these recordings offered on our website? Or is there a goal to have them offered on our website in case you can't attend from 7 to 8?
Also very interesting because the answer to your question is no.
Okay.
But the minute you said it, I said we probably should.
Okay.
So I would have to talk to Jed to see, but I don't know how protected their
Yeah, I don't know
materials are
either. It was
or
just a
anything,
thought
so,
because it was hard to make, sometimes those 7 to 8 was a great,
Yeah.
session, but
Yeah,
if they were available online,
yeah.
would be amazing.
And also what we find oftentimes, our parents are so busy. I mean, when we're
Yeah.
hosting events, sometimes our showing is low,
Mhm.
just because everyone's exhausted by the end of the day.
Right.
So we really have to talk about ways in which we can ensure we're engaging more
Yeah.
families by creating multiple opportunities for them to access.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Let's get one.
I'm partially asking just because I'm looking and thinking for ideas for the city, but has the school district done anything in particular to support the LGBTQ community?
Oh, and I can speak on that too after you.
No, you go
Oh.
ahead.
So and you might be aware, but I don't know if but the school district has an LGBTQ plus council, and it's actually student led. I'm on that council. I shared about it at the last school board meeting. We meet once a month. And so it's students, I just didn't want to make it's students, staff, parents and guardians and community partners who work to ensure that students and staff who identify as part of the LGBTQ plus community feel seen, cared for, and valued. So this is my second year on this. I'm choosing to be on it. It's not one of the committees that board members are assigned, but I have wanted to be on it. So members include GSA club advisors, and sometimes during it, the club advisors talk, what are you doing at Fletcher versus JLS? And I shared at the last board meeting to anyone listening, if you want to get involved with this and you're a student who wants to get involved, go to your secondary GSA. And then the community partners talk about what they're doing and how to get involved. So we do have that, and it meets on a monthly basis. And my favorite part about it is that it's run by students. So the student voice is definitely heard.
And just to add to that,
Yeah.
they are, that particular group will also have, some feedback sessions for the policy. So they will be looking closely at that policy as well to see if it's, if it meets the needs of our LGBTQ youth.
Great. We don't have the same forum, so please let us know
Yeah.
if there's anything that comes out of that.
Okay.
We do have our teen center downtown newly open, so we have ways that we can think about. We have transit options. We have other ways that we might be able to support outside of school as well.
I would like to add, something that we have been having some discussions about is being very specific about, the mental health providers who have the unique knowledge around supporting LGBTQ youth from this mental health space. Having a child of my own, that identifies in that group, it was very essential to have a therapist who understood, who had special skills in addressing the needs of that particular population. So some of our conversation is, is there a way to identify that support within our existing structure? Or do we have to talk about, partnership, outside of the school district with various organizations who support LGBTQ youth? So more work to do there.
And I was just gonna add that at the last meeting, it was Outlet, Q Corner, and San Mateo Pride Center chose to attend and support.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
I can just add.
Yeah.
And not sure if you're aware, but I know there's conversations right now with the city and I believe YCS, right, to form like the first Pride Parade or some sort of Pride events occurring in June.
Oh,
Yeah, great.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be the city's first Pride event. It's not going to be a parade because we'll just be coming off our Mayflood parade. So it's going to be in front of City Hall and out onto Hamilton and Ramona. And the date is June 7th.
And so what is it called? A Pride event?
Pride Day.
Pride Day. Pride, okay.
Pride
Okay.
celebration.
Pride
yeah.
Center. Okay.
And one of the cool things is that the youth are kind of the ones that are really leading it with assistance from me and from some other adults in the community. So
Very cool. And partnered with YCS, or is the city of Palo Alto, or
it's a partnership with a lot of organizations.
partnership with lots of
Yeah.
organizations? Okay,
And community members and.
got it.
Thank you. So I just want to say a big note of appreciation for all of the work that is going on in the city and the school district to help our youth and also our families and our community members. I mean, I was also writing as quick as I could to just take note of everything that is happening. It really is tremendous, how many different people are working in so many different areas. And I know I've said this here and in other places, but I really do believe that this is the most important work that we can do. So I just really appreciate everyone's hands on deck. So my question was actually kind of in that vein, just to hear a little bit more about the coordination piece, because there are so many. There are listening sessions run by the district, and then I'm excited that there have been listening sessions and parent sessions run by Jed. There'll be more listening sessions. So just to hear a little bit more, how are we making sure that everything that we hear is going into some place where it can all be kind of used and synthesized in a way that nothing really gets lost?
So this was actually our conversation when I met with Project Safety Net and also a representative from Fertilize and Kristen O'Kane. We were really talking about how do we first synthesize everything that's going on, but be able to meet routinely to really talk about what the city is working on and what the district is working on. So while we haven't kind of concluded what what I call this executive practitioners meeting would kind of would include, who it would include. We think it's important because I don't know about you all, but I'm probably invited to about 10 meetings, all about the same topic, all from different organizations.
Right.
And oftentimes it brings in the community, which I think is a great thing to have community voices in this, but we also need a working group. And a working group is there to take some of the information that we are hearing from our stakeholders, from our community, from community input and student input, to say, okay, here's what we know. Here's what folks are saying. What can we do with this information from the city side and the district side? This is where the decision makers are, who can synthesize that information and say, this is the work that needs to happen or come out of that information. So more to come. I think we're going to have another meeting sometime soon that Paying for Project Safety Net is setting up. But it will give us an opportunity to really think about who should be at the table, having a discussion about the solutions and the decisions, right? Looking at that information.
Great, thank you. And just one follow-up, there've been so many great events, upcoming events that have been mentioned, for folks listening or also us at the table, where's the best place to get information about, I wrote down the March 17th and 18th, the other, anyway, so kind of everything that we've mentioned, where's the best
Yes.
place for us to
So
go?
the way we share information is we send it straight out to parents in their email, every parent in
Parents
the
fine.
district. And we also send it through our weekly superintendent's update as well. So you will see a list of events in those every week. Something comes out, there's probably an event in there somewhere. But I think it would be great if we had a calendar where we say, these are the city events and the
Yes.
school events, so that people have a one-stop shop place to go to know, where are we talking about mental health supports? Where are we getting training? So that there's a compendium of resources available. And I say that just to say, perhaps this work is around a website, a youth mental health website that includes all of the resources and all of the events coming to it. It's a tab people can click on, and all the information's right there. So
I read my mind. I would love that. To have a coordinated one-stop shop place, yeah.
Yes, we're more than happy to work on that, because we also reflected that it'll be good to have one location where people can also know about where JED is and the effort that they're doing community-wide. I know there's going to be a lot of interest as they're giving us a findings report, for example, that the community will definitely want to read that and have feedback on it. So I think a shared place totally makes sense. In the meantime, the city calendar is where all of the city events can be found. And speaking of events, I also wanted to mention one more. I was able to find the description for the You Can Help, so I'll tell you that, and then I'll tell you the additional event. For the You Can Help training, it equips participants to understand youth mental health, recognize signs of distress, learn how to respond, and know when and how to connect young people to the professional resources. And JED has developed specialized versions of this training for youth educators and parent audiences. So they'll tweak it slightly for those two different groups I referenced. And then the other event that is coming up is actually by the hard work of this committee about a year ago. There was discussion around one additional way to encourage youth mental health is to also talk about the variety of career pathways that young folks can go to, and to know that all pathways are awesome and important to consider. And so Kristen's team has been working really hard in partnership with some of the staff from the district to put on a Discover Your Path career exploration event for teens. It is this Saturday, February 28th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can drop in and get information. So it's a career fair, a career panel, networking, workshops, interactive activities, and plus giveaways. So who doesn't want free stuff? So please encourage students and even some teachers in the district to also attend, because we think it's really important to just show students that any path they choose is an important one, and it's what fits for every individual.
So hopefully that can be in the Friday community update from the school district. And then,
Yes, and we gave it to Trent, so I think.
Perfect. And then my only other hope is if we do get this website, that could also be a place where the recordings of all these amazing trainings could be located, because I know I would put in my earpiece, and whether I'm walking my dog or, doing other errands or even maybe doing other work, if listening to them, I do think we would get a lot of community members and students and parents listening if they were available online. And yeah.
Thank you. Did we have any public comment? Okay, great.
Yeah, we have two requests.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just to weigh in on a couple of updates, but first just want to say really appreciate, I think this kind of shared vision and goal and partnership that we really have right now between the city and the school district. And I think this committee, my hopes is to be able to continue to foster that. I know that has always been my real hope for the city school committee, to be able to continue to do this work in partnership, and love the idea of the shared website and resources. I think we've all been familiar with, right? There are incredibly engaged members of this community, but they frequently are either really engaged on school district or really engaged on city. So I think there's a lot of gaps there. And if we can send them to one place, that would be really, really beneficial for all of us. Really appreciate the update from the school district, incredible, and from the city. I love the idea of that upcoming event on Saturday. I know that's something I frequently have conversations with my seniors as well about, those alternative career paths and roads to success. So I'm so glad that we're doing that. I just want to give my appreciation for the school district on the cost sharing of the crossing guards and how responsive and quick. I know all the school board members and district administrators as well in just responding with a very emphatic yes to that request. So to quote one of my favorite movies, I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship. And I know it's been a friendship for many years. And then final update is some good news in this space. I'm sure everybody, at least in this room, is aware, but anybody watching, that the Board of Supervisors appears to be on the path of deciding to continue to fund All Cove. It's not a final decision yet, but I think we cleared the greatest hurdle. So the recommendation right now coming out of a committee at the Board of Supervisors is to continue to fund All Cove at $1.75 million a year for the next 3 years, and that Alum Rock Counseling Services will essentially be the primary provider through All Cove. Now, my understanding is that All Cove currently gets $4 million from the county, so there is a gap, but in conversations that I've been having, it seems like there's quite a bit of confidence that All Cove can, through Alum Rock, will be able to do a lot of that work at a a lower price tag. And at this past council meeting on Monday, we were talking about our mid-year budget review. And even though we're looking at some challenging budgets coming up in the next several years, there was an overwhelming desire from the council members expressed to staff that we would like to see the council dedicating at least some funding to All Cove to be able to help that. I think conversation was around $200,000, right, George?
Yes, and to be clear, there's just a general focus on private fundraising. So the hope was that a commitment from the city would show momentum and spark the ability of Alum Rock, Stanford, and others to raise $1 million was floated around in the Board of Supervisors meeting, but we hope to bring significant funds such that services are disrupted as little as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. And and I know at least one of my hopes, I always try to find kind of the optimistic side to anything. I think one of the struggles that All Cove has had over the years, I think we've all kind of scratched our heads around, we know there is such great demand for these services, and yet All Cove has seen a relatively kind of smaller use of these incredible facilities. And I've always long suspected that it's just a lot of students aren't aware of these services. And of course, there's other reasons too, stigma, whatnot. But I think at least on the issue of awareness of the services that All Cove has been addressed. Because I know I've done interviews with both the Gun Oracle and the Pali Campanile and other newspapers as well. I mean, the student journalists have focused on the story so much over the last couple of months, and I think their advocacy has really helped as well. And I know those students read those newspapers quite a bit. So now can't imagine there's a student in Palo Alto Unified who doesn't know about All Cove. So I think we're in a much better place now than we were a few months ago, at least regarding kind of student awareness of this incredible community resource. So I think that at least is some good news to share in this space. So thank you.
Thank you. Other committee members want to give any update? Okay. Public comment.
Our first speaker is Allison R. Should I just?
You can take my mic.
Oh,
Usually we have an extra one.
Yeah. Doesn't really, we actually don't, they just elevates the noise volume, but you're up if you don't.
Well, super fantastic. Every single one of you guys. I mean, wonderful job. So I just came with a list of things to consider. One is that I think it's really important to have Jed speak one-on-one or in a small group to the bereaved parents. This is something we call a psychological postmortem, and I don't know if it's been done. There's one parent who already has said she would be happy to speak to them. And with careful attention to the safety plan, where are there gaps, what could be done for a student at risk. The second thing is that there's all this wonderful JED training, but JED is going away. Who's going to continue the training? So I would encourage you to think about who that would be. Maybe they are going to continue for perpetuity, but I doubt it. Then so maybe include, for example, Children's Health Council. Wonderful. All COVE members, whoever is going to continue this. And it would be great if you had, for example, if this is something that a student could lead with a health professional to provide the education, this would give them some career exploration experience. And so anyway, if it's something that a student could help with. I also wanted to shout out to Project Safety Net, and they've been doing a great job coordinating. The PTSD education, really important. This is a violent death. And so people talk about triggers hearing the train. I haven't heard enough about that. And then really strongly say that neurodivergent students have not, I don't think it's appreciated, the importance of specialized support for neurodivergent students. This Real 2E has been found to be very helpful. I can send you the link. And of course, getting students at risk in regular groups, support groups. But that neurodivergent aspect, I think this one parent can speak to very well. Anyway, lots of more, like, for example, giving teachers opportunities for role playing to make them feel more comfortable talking to students. There are a lot of things. And then also youth community service more is fantastic. This is a great opportunity for kids to have a sense of meaning in their lives, exploring purpose. We at the VA have volunteers where they can see different career paths. So a lot of us in the community would love to collaborate. Anyway, thank you.
Our next speaker is Ken H.
Yes, thank you. Great meeting, and I wanted to echo Member Stone's comments, because this is the first time I've really seen a cooperation between the school district and the city. Prior to this, the school district's position was, well, we're spending millions and millions of dollars, and basically don't tell us what needs to be done. We know what needs to be done. So I'm really happy that you both are working together on this problem. Obviously, actions speak louder than words. We are in a cluster. 3 deaths in a year is not acceptable. And then finally, I wanted to say that, and I just lost train of thought, but looking forward to the JED Foundation and getting on board, helping the school district, helping the city, and there's endeavors with youth mental health. Member Stone brought this youth mental health issue up when he was mayor and made it his top priority. So a lot of thanks goes to him for keeping this alive. And unfortunately, we had to suffer some deaths, but now I think we're on the right track, and I'm very hopeful. So let's continue. Let's this committee be proactive and work together, and let's solve this problem. Thank you for your attention. I'm done.
And that concludes public comment on item E. Thank you. Is there anything we wanted to do on this agenda item? Anything else? Seems like we heard some incredible updates, and we have some ideas for next steps. So we will think about when we can get JED to come back and provide an update. And I thought that was a great suggestion. and continue this as one of our main pieces of work for this committee.
If I can ask, I know we're gonna go to a future meeting agenda, so in that item, we can probably touch on this. If there's any particular focus area that the committee would like to zoom in on within the broader umbrella of youth mental health, just let us know. As that's something that will allow us as staff of both the district and the city to prepare. So I know Jed is one of those, so I can pull those materials together, but if there are other specific topics, it'd be good to know. Go ahead.
Is that conversation that was started about the shared website or a place to be able to have those resources? I think that'd be a good item.
Yeah, I'd be curious, as we make, certainly when June comes and we get the post-vention report, I think that could be a great time to discuss too, once we learn a little bit more details of who the protocols are for. And then, I would be interested what some of the outcomes of the surveys and listening sessions are, just so we can all kind of better understand next steps. Okay, so that's a segue into our last item, which is future business. Colleagues, anything we want to make sure, or ideas for discussion going forward?
You guys go. I'm gonna pull the notes up, but go ahead. From your last one.
So yes, I was thinking back for some of the things that we ended the calendar year with, where we talked about e-bikes and bike safety. We talked, Councilmember Lou, I think you brought up athletic fields. There were a couple of things that we had talked about.
Yes, so the list that I have from your last meeting a couple of months ago was crossing guards, which I think that one probably is sufficiently covered at this point, unless there was a discussion of other crossing guards in the district. So that was one topic. Bike safety in general, and a discussion related to e-bikes, any efforts that are happening at the city as well as the district. Sports fields, a couple different ideas around that, as well as the housing development on Gang Road, which is going to the city council. So maybe that is one that we just provide an update here after the city council discussion. But those are the topics that were brought up last time.
I mean, I think there's no shortage of things that we could talk about beyond fields. At city council, we often get comments about middle school sports, and frankly, I don't quite know how to address them. And if they are if they're of sufficient priority, I think this venue is the right place to talk about how they should work. One thing that I also wanted to flag was that there was a development proposed at the planning commission that would have added a driveway with a potentially a couple hundred cars onto a safe route to school. And there's really extensive discussion. The planning commission, in a somewhat unusual step, didn't recommend that project to go forward for council review. And so not just e-bikes or bike safety in broad strokes, but safe routes to school. I have a personal interest in just making sure that safe routes to school are very, very strongly supported, but also not necessarily a reason to deny housing. So like making sure that we can design guidelines and make things clearly prioritized and safe is something that I care about. And yeah, I think we also have a teen center that's open. Is it newly open as of this month? Last month?
I think this month.
Yeah, this month, right? And so presumably there's more to come, more to think about in terms of opening hours, programming, making sure it's a really well utilized and vibrant space that is also a topic that we could talk about.
Thank you. Any other items?
Just have a question.
Yeah.
As far as are we here this year or?
Good question. This year, we will be moving the meetings to the school district offices. This month, was just the first month in a special meeting, and so we had it here just because that's what was available. And that's a great segue to being clear on what the meeting date and times will be. If we can spend a moment talking about that, so you can avoid 20 emails for us to get to the same information. Previously, your last year's committee picked the third Thursday of each month at 7 PM. I understand that may or may not work for this year's committee composition, so I want to throw that out there and see if that is still the meeting cadence that you would like. If that third Thursday in the evening still works, if that time works, or move it.
I have a standing conflict, though I could do 5 PM on the third Thursday.
Should we try a different day? 5 PM is a little hard because I'm coming from San Francisco. But I could do a different day at that time. I guess Monday's out because of your meetings, Tuesday's out because of our meetings, so that leaves narrowing it down a little bit. We probably,
out because Friday's.
I know, we probably don't want 5 PM on Friday. I will veto that one. So Georgia, so it's on the, what if we picked a different Thursday, or is it every Thursday?
Just on the third Thursday, so different Thursdays would work for me.
Okay.
I think the first or the fourth would be preferred.
How do others feel about that? I know the first Thursday would be next week, but we could,
I prefer the fourth.
you prefer the
Just,
fourth? Okay.
Kind of the cadence of when our school board meetings are. Right.
So I'm just gonna say the date. So the next one would be March 26th at 7 PM. Does that
That
work?
would work.
Okay, and so the next would be April 23rd,
Yeah, that
works.
and then maybe we'll just go through this school year, so it works 1, 2, 3, May 28th.
that would be.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's it. So
That's
can
it.
we get, we got them.
We got 'em.
Yeah, we can change it. Don't change
No,
it.
we
Is it
can't.
possible
Yeah.
to get calendar hold so we,
Yes, we'll work with Vicky Lau,
Excellent.
in our clerk's office.
to delete the old ones and
Yeah.
add
Yeah,
the new
you'll get a
ones?
calendar invite from one, of the two of them. And then the next one will be, March 26th at 7 PM at the school board.
Mhm.
That's right.
Boardroom.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for doing
That
that.
was
part of it.
surprisingly painless for me. Such a busy people. Okay, well then, that concludes the meeting. Thank you all.
Good job.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Imagine that's definitely.
I always thought it was gonna be
So.
like